If you blinking right while turning left, you confusing yourself and everybody behind you. So the idea is to craft the divine standard filtered through the head. Now we know we have many single parents, and you have been given a double duty. And we value you, we appreciate you. We can never allow that to get men off the hook for the kids that they sire that they now have abandoned. If they're not paying their bills, take them to court. They still have a responsibility to the kids. You didn't get pregnant by yourself. And so he wanted to raise them to be high, expose your kids, especially your boys, to men of high standards. If they don't have one in the home, men who will lead them in the right way. Not perfect men, but men who are moving right, who are not mediocre. You can't be sending them to church. You just can't be sending them to school. You can't be sending your wife to PTA meetings while you watch football and television. No, you must be there, engaged and involved. When I go through a metal detector, the old ones, the old magnetometers, if I have keys in my pocket, it beeps. Beep, 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 beep. That means I got to back up, take the keys out of my pocket. Sometimes when I went through the old magnetometers, I had the keys in my pocket and it wouldn't beep. That's because those old magnetometers had to be set. They had to be set. And some people would set them real sensitive and others not as sensitive, determine how easily it beeped. We got a generation of young people today whose consciences don't beep. That's because nobody set them. It is the head of the household's job to set the conscience. So they got to think through what they're getting ready to do because something is going beep, 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 because you set them. Because if you let the culture set them, they won't be sensitive. And you certainly don't want the public setting them. Because today when they go to school, you don't know who's going to be teaching them, and you don't know who's going to be in that bathroom. So that must be established, the divine standard, and walking them through the struggles of that. But you don't change the standard. You administer the standard with love and with compassion. There are two extremes out here. One is to be so compassionate there is no standard. The other extreme is to have the standard without showing compassion. And the idea is to compassionately move to meet the standard. But you don't dumb down God to make folk happy. You love folk to God. And so, yes, there are challenges. Yes, our kids are struggling. And now they're exposed to stuff you don't even know about because they're carrying around a phone, which gives them access to the whole world, and you can't control that. So since you can't control that, you better be using every opportunity you can to set the standard so that there is a beeper that goes off. Because you want choice men, not mediocre. Those who want to excel Godward in whatever areas God allows them to progress in.
Dr. Evans will tell us more about the importance of fighting for our kids when he continues our message in just a moment. First, as we've been learning, Dr. Evans says American men have been lied to and misled. It's time for the truth, and you'll find it in his brand new book, Kingdom Men Rising. In it, Tony squares off against today's mangled view of manhood and presents a whole new game plan for overcoming temptation, recovering from past failures, leading your family, and building a legacy of faith and godly influence. It's time to man up God's way. So we'd like to send you a copy of Kingdom Men Rising as our way of saying thanks when you make a contribution toward the ministry of the Urban Alternative. As a special bonus, we'll send it to you along with all 12 full-length messages in Tony's hard-hitting audio series, part of which we've been listening to today. Get both of these Kingdom Men Rising resources before this special offer runs out next week by visiting tonyevans.org. Or let one of our friendly team members help with your request when you call our 24-hour resource center at 1-800-800-3222. That's 1-800-800-3222. I'll repeat our contact information after part 2 of today's lesson. Here's Tony.
The third thing it says about Asher's sons, he speaks in particularly of, he says they were mighty men in verse 40. Mighty men. They were raised to be warriors. Mighty men. See, you have to understand, we're in spiritual warfare here. We're in a war. You now have to fight for your kids. You have to go to war. See, when many of us